Hey there, welcome to the Get Fully Funded channel. I'm Sandy Reese, Chief Encouragement Officer here at Get Fully Funded, where we help small nonprofits learn to raise the money they need to fully fund their budget. I am here to help you master the art and science of fundraising tip by tip, and I've got a really good one for you today. But first, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that every time we upload a new piece of content, you're the first one to know. All right, let's get to this week's tip. You probably already know that fundraising letters can bring in lots and lots of money, like thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars, but you have to do it right. I'm Sandy Reese, Chief Encouragement Officer at Get Fully Funded, host of this channel, and I want to share with you a few tips that are going to help you make your next fundraising letter better than any one that you've ever done before. So grab a pen and a piece of paper or pull up a Word doc and let's get ready to take some notes. Fundraising letters or appeals have a really wonderful, strong place in an overall fundraising program. So it's a piece of the way that you raise money for your organization. You may be doing grants and events and monthly giving and major gifts, but appeals are going to, frankly, appeal. They're going to be your method of asking for money from your general donor base. Appeals actually accomplish a couple of things. They can be very educational. They can help people understand a little bit more about a program or about something that you're working on, and they give people the opportunity to give in a way that they want to give. Now, fundraising letters can be sent through the mail or email, either way. I like it when you have an email address and a snail mail address for somebody, because then you can send the letter out through the mail and follow up with the email to anybody who doesn't give within the first week or so. I think that's a wonderful 1-2 punch that'll get you some really big results. Now, your letter needs to follow a formula. I've been writing fundraising letters with great success for about 20 years. So I'm going to share with you a few things that I've learned the hard way that I know work. As I've sat in the development seat, as I've coached people, as I've been a board member, and now a consultant, I can tell you for sure that these things work. All right, you ready? Okay, there's a couple of things you want to make sure that you're ready for before you start writing your letter. The first is your goal. What is your goal for this appeal? How much money do you want to raise? How many donors do you want giving? What do you want your average gift size to be? These are important things to think about, because if you don't set goals, then later you have no good way to evaluate the success of this letter or this appeal. When you set goals, then later you can compare your results to your goals to see where you on target, where you short, or did you raise more than you expected. Those numbers are going to help you build your budget next year, because you're going to have hard data to look at instead of guessing, and that's always a better way to go. Next, you want to make sure that your list is clean and ready. What does that mean? If you're not doing some kind of data hygiene, I would recommend it. If you're using an email list, then make sure you're pulling out people whose emails have bounced. If you're using a snail mail address, have you updated it lately? You can use the national change of address data, and some donor software tools have this built in where it'll tell you, for this donor, this is not a deliverable mailing address. You need to know that, so you're not wasting printing and postage on letters that are just going to be bounced right back to you. So make sure that your data is clean, and make sure that your people are warmed up and ready. What does that mean? Well, let me ask this. What has happened from your donor's point of view since the last time you asked? Have you sent anything besides a thank you letter? Have you sent some warm touches? Have you given them an update? Have you shared a success story? Have you showed them how their support makes a difference? If you haven't, you probably want to do some of that before you send out your next fundraising letter. Why? Nobody likes that friend that the only time they show up is when they want something. If your nonprofit only shows up in an inbox or a mailbox with your hand out saying, gimme, 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 people are going to leave. They're going to stop giving. You're going to have a whole ton of lapsed donors on your hands. So you have to think about, from the donor's point of view, what their experience has been like with your organization. What is the experience as a donor? Now's a real good time to think about that and to put some things in place so that donors don't get worn out. Finally, what story are you going to tell, and what are you asking people to give to? So are you asking people to give toward an arbitrary goal, which I do not recommend, that doesn't work? Are you asking people to sponsor a student in your program? If so, then you want to make sure that the amount that you're asking for reflects what it costs to sponsor a student in your program. That's how you're going to get the most results that you can from this fundraising letter. So, in the letter itself, start with a hooky story with a first sentence that's very short. It should not wrap on the screen. You want to think about positioning that story that shows the before and after. So before that person was helped by your organization or that animal, and what it's like now. Be sure that your story can be told. If it's an animal, it's probably okay. If it's a person, you want to get permission, or you want to change the details of that story so that it is unrecognizable, or tell a composite story. You literally can say, the typical child that comes to our program has experienced A, B, and C, or whatever those are. So it is okay to do that. So you start with a story, then you pivot to how your organization is uniquely qualified to help, and then you say what the need is, so you put some context on how many others also need this help. Then you make your ask, and you make it very clear. Your gift of $28.13 will provide a month's worth of lunch and tuition for a child attending school in Liberia. That's what you want to do. Be very clear about how much you're asking for and what that donation is going to do. Then you're going to explain to people how to give, either use the enclosed envelope or click the link below to make your donation today. You do want to include a sense of urgency, so you want to give them a reason why they need to give now. And it can't just be because you need to hit your goal. You could say something like, the new semester starts soon and we need to be ready to make sure all the children are ready to go back to school. Please give now. And that's one way of doing it. The highest ranking person in your organization should sign the letter, and that can be a digital signature, though you don't want it to look like a digital signature. So your development director should not be signing fundraising letters. Then add a PS that recaps the letter, again with a sense of urgency, and a click here to donate, or please give now. Please give today. Give your best gift today. It can work, but I prefer to go back to your gift of at that point. You have to remember that a lot of people skim. They don't read the whole thing. So you want to read the whole, you want to write the letter, and yes, you can use AI to help you. Sometimes I write something and then I throw it into AI and ask AI to shorten it or to make it more compelling or more concise. It'll do that for you. You want to read through it again to make sure that the language is on brand and that it represents you well, but you can do that. Have somebody else outside the organization read it just to make sure it makes sense to them, and then you're good to go. People usually are going to skim, they're going to read a headline, they're going to read who this is to, they may drop down, look at it in the pictures, they're going to read the PS, and if all that looks interesting, they'll start over and read the thing. Most people are not going to read the whole letter, but you have to write it knowing that maybe that one person is going to read the letter. So don't skim. All right, couple of tips before we're done. Personalize it. So no dear friend, please write in the person's first name, dear Sandy or dear Mrs. Smith or whatever that needs to look like. Make it look good. If it looks like a wall of text, people are not going to read it. I won't read it. Break things up into small paragraphs, especially in an email. 1 or 2 sentence paragraphs are plenty long. Put a picture in. You could insert a video if you wanted, if you're doing this in an email. Whether it's in print or an email, it needs to look easy to read, which means you probably need to write it and then cut half the text out so that it looks really easy. Make it compelling, keep it simple, use conversational language, no fancy 25-cent words. Make sure you've got permission to use any pictures or stories that you choose to tell. And only make it as long as it needs to be so that you can say what you need to say. In print, I find that I normally do a full page and then about half on the back. If you try to squeeze everything so it'll fit on one page, you are shooting for the wrong goal. The goal is not to squeeze it all on one page to reduce your printing costs. The goal is to share a story through this letter that motivates somebody to give. It does not matter what's convenient for you. It matters what is going to warm somebody's heart. to keep it the right length. All right. If you found this video helpful, would you leave me a comment and let me know your takeaway? Let me know any tips that you have for your fundraising letters. Be sure to subscribe because I release great content with practical how-to steps every month, and you don't want to miss the next one. I'm Sandy Reese. Happy fundraising. If you like this video, there's plenty more where this one came from. Be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so that every time we add a new tip, you're the first to find out. I don't want you to miss a single thing.